What's the thing that you see the most that people struggle with? Is it a stress, an overwhelm, an anxiousness, a fear of something?
It's always a belief, I'm not enough. That's the biggest thing. In fact, I always say to all my clients, there's only 3 things wrong with everyone. Everyone has got 3 things wrong. The number 1 is I'm not enough. The second one is I'm different, so I can't connect. And the third is I really want something like freedom from depression or success, but it's not available. But I'm not enough is the biggest. I mean, I've worked with hundreds of thousands of addicts. I've never found one ever that ever believed they're enough. And if we look at the key addictions, shopping, binging on food, binging on alcohol, binging on drugs, sex especially, food, porn, all of those things come from a feeling of emptiness inside because we're taught, oh, you feel a feeling? Why don't you eat some donuts or go onto eBay and buy, or Amazon, or buy something, or have a drink. And our feelings are the most real thing we have. And we push them down. We find all this stuff to buy or eat or drink or take to keep us, like John Lennon said, comfortably numb. But then the feelings regroup and come back because they've always got a job to do. And I always say to my clients, look, you've got to feel the feeling until it no longer requires to be felt. You can't eat it or drink it or shop it away, but we're all taught that we can and should. So I'm not enough is the biggest problem I see. I mean, if you look at Amy Winehouse or George Michael or Whitney Houston or Philip Seymour Hoffman, immense talent, a gift, beauty.
Why did they feel like they were enough, though? When the world says you are enough, I'm going to celebrate you, you're going to have everything you want, we're going to talk about you constantly, stroke your ego, pay you a ton of money. How come they still can't get over that they're not enough?
That's a great question. There's a couple of things. First of all, if you're Amy Winehouse and someone says write a song and you write back to black in 5 minutes, they give you $8 million. It's what I call the self-destructiveness of talent. I didn't earn that. It's a bit like a lottery winner. I didn't work for that. I got to get rid of it. You know, lottery winners who haven't had money will almost always go bankrupt very quickly. So if you didn't earn it, it has no value.
That guilt of not feeling like, well, I didn't work 10 years for this.
Even with guys, you know, guys like to pursue women, so they've earned them. If you just give it up to them immediately, they like it, but they don't want to see you again because you've taken away their desire to earn it. If your dad is an heir and gives you a ton of money to open a business, you won't respect it because you didn't earn it. So the first thing is, this came to me so easily. Therefore, it has no value at all. And that's a big thing with rock stars and music stars who debase it. But the second thing is with many people, like, for instance, George Michael and Whitney Houston, always had to pretend they were straight. They have to live a lie from the very beginning. Michael Jackson had to pretend he came from this lovely, God-fearing, wonderful Walton-type family. And we know that wasn't true. Amy had to pretend that she didn't mind at all that her dad left her mum when she was 4, and she minded very much indeed. So when you fake it and fake it and fake it and fool the world, you can't fool yourself, and then you're living a lie, and eventually it comes back. And people like Whitney, who was just so talented, then use drugs to hide the pain, because I can't now come out and say that I'm not straight, and I'm portrayed as this Bible bashing, God-fearing man, heterosexual, man-loving girl, and that's not me. I'm a party animal. I like women. But she wasn't allowed to say that.
Coming from the church and everything else.
Coming from the church, and it's so unfair to do that to people because you make them pretend to be something else, which causes intense stress. And then when you're intense stress, what do? You have to take drugs. I remember years ago, Carrie Fisher's mother saying that she would appear on screen with 2 baby diaper pins on her shirt, and she was America's golden girl, but her husband was cheating. She was a chronic bulimic all her life and hid that, and such a shame.
You mentioned something about leaning into the feelings until you no longer need to feel them, or until they go away.
Feel the feeling until it no longer requires to be felt.
Why should we do that? So give me an example of a feeling.
So let's imagine you and your ex-wife are not getting on, and you have a feeling of rage about the fact that she's trying to get your kid to call the new guy daddy and she's blocking you out, and you feel so angry. You think, well, I mustn't feel angry, you know, she's doing it for the interest of my kid, and so I just drink the anger and I drink the anger. And you see, with a feeling, it's the most real thing you have. A feeling is like a little kid in a class going, notice me, I'm over here. And if you don't, they get more and more out of control. And so when you don't acknowledge your feelings, they regroup, and they regroup until they become outrage, rage coming out. And then suddenly they go a bit crazy in the car park of a store or the line of a store, because the mind says, I've got all this rage, wants to come out. Someone just cut into the line, take it out on them. And it's so ineffective, because I have something I call AAA, which is be aware of your feeling. Most people have no idea what they feel. They go, I shouldn't feel jealous. I shouldn't feel envious. I shouldn't be furious with this kid who's keeping me up all night. So they're not aware of it. They certainly can't accept it, and they never get to articulate it. But if you can say, you know, my wife's a good person, but actually I'm furious with what she's doing. It really hurts my feelings. That's why group therapy in places like AA, the good thing is you get to say, sometimes I could quite cheerfully hurt my wife. I'm not going to, but I feel like it. But, oh yeah, I feel like that too. Because when you can express your feeling, it goes away. It goes away immediately.
When
but
you
when
communicate
it, even to yourself. So if your mother-in-law is the absolute bitch from hell, and you can't say, by the way, Dorothy, you are the most horrible mother-in-law in the world, but you just go and shut yourself in the bathroom, turn on the taps, flush the toilet, and say, Dorothy is a really unpleasant mother-in-law. And one of my
feel better.
Yeah, you feel so much better because you're not saying it to them. It's like feelings are like gas. They're in or they're out, and they hurt much more when you keep them in. And you want to let them out. Maybe gas, I mean, obviously right in the middle of a meeting, but when you keep stuff in, it causes you pain. And one of my amazing therapists said, my mother-in-law really was the mother-in-law from hell. And I could never say anything because my husband was the golden boy. But after I trained with her, I started to say, you know, Brenda, you're a really unhappy person, and I know you're trying to hurt my feelings, but I just feel so bad. And Brenda finally said to me, you know, I've been bulimic for 32 years. Nobody knows. Could you help me? She completely transformed that woman in 2 sessions, never been bulimic since. Now she likes me more than her son now.
Wow.
I'm now the daughter-in-law from heaven. I've got a big halo.
Wow.
But when we keep everything in, it does so much damage. It's like with little kids, they get angry and we shout at them. They go, oh, my anger makes you angry, and I'm not allowed to be angry. I'm not allowed to say something hurt me. And all psychiatrists will tell you that and if you want to be sorted out, here's something you must do. Express your hurt as close to the event that hurt you happening as possible. You can't say to your dad, you know, 20 years I asked for a bike and you got me a skateboard. I didn't want that. They go, what? I worked nights to buy you that bike. You can't get any resolution after 10 years or 20 years. But when you can say to your friend, look, I love you, you're my friend, but it really hurt me when you didn't even turn up to my wedding, and I still had to pay for all of that, and you didn't call, and it hurt me. I still love you, but you hurt my feelings. Then it's gone. But when you keep it in, it doesn't. When you say to the friend, you make me feel so angry, well, you make me feel angry. I didn't come to your wedding because your guest list, that was extortionate, asking for all this stuff. I mean, I'm not Bank of America, and I didn't want to buy that stuff. But you can't get resolution. But when you say, I was hurt when, or I felt hurt by, and you can say it to a wall, you can say it to a force, you can say it to a mirror.
You can write it down.
It's not for the other person. It's good to say it because it's out then. And then it goes away. It's the most wonderful thing. It goes away. And then everything is so different. And also, whenever anyone does anything wrong, we go, what's wrong with you? We should say, what happened to you? What happened to you? And they'll go, well, you know, my mom always said she didn't want a boy, she wanted a girl, and I've been brought up. I'll give you an example. I had a city trader as a client who really had problems trading. And his boss said, you know, he's the best trader, but he's so nervous. And when I worked with him, he was saying that when he was a kid, his parents had 2 girls and then him. And he would smash his Tonka toys and they go, what's wrong with you? Look at your sisters just combing their doll's hair and they're so good. And why are you so aggressive? And a 4-year-old can't go, well, because I have something called testosterone and they don't. And I'm designed to run and jump and hunt and fish, and I got to learn what to do with aggression. Smashing my cars together is good for me. He didn't. A 4-year-old doesn't have anything because they live in the world of they just live in a world of feeling, not logic. And he said, I never realised. I spent my whole life thinking something's wrong with me because my parents would say everything conversation. What's wrong with you? Look how neat you. Says they don't get peas on the floor when they eat. And he said, I heard it every day until I formed a belief something's wrong with me. He didn't date women because he thought, well, I should be like one, but I want to be like a man. And that session totally turned him around. He said it was like someone had sprayed him with pheromones because he went out that night and women were attaching themselves to him like a magnet. But he just got rid of the feeling of something's wrong with me. Because most people do walk around going, something's wrong with me, I'm just majorly messed up. And you can't heal.
And no one understands me, no one gets me.
And I don't understand me. And if I don't understand me, how can you?
And why should I even be here?
Yeah, because you can't heal what you can't understand. And so all the treating the symptom is like putting a Band-Aid on an infection. It doesn't, when you understand it, you can totally change your perception of what it is, because events actually don't affect you, but the meaning you attach to them does.
The story we tell ourselves about
the event. And that's, I love that, because when I just got all my Stevie Awards, it's like, oh, I feel like I've got an Oscar. And that's good, because I take client stories and I give them a happy ending. Always give them a happy ending.